Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Acoustic Northeast, where we talk about the singer-songwriters and the acoustic music scene in the Northeast United States. We interview singer-songwriters, musicians who play live in studio for you and for us. I am co-host George Malice.
I am other co-host Dave Goldenberg. And we are sponsored today by hereithere.com, where you can go online and find out great stuff about who's performing, where, when, and learn more about artists. Hereithere.com. Also by WBXO Internet Radio, streaming classic rock and more from beautiful Hopewell Junction, New York, and Hudson Harding Folk Radio promoters. And you folk artists, give them a call.
So you can listen to us in a lot of different places. Obviously,
here, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Wherever you are listening to podcasts. We also have a YouTube channel and also acousticnortheast.com. And also WBXO plays the segments as well, WBXO.com. And today in studio, we have a Connecticut singer-songwriter by the name of Mitch Katz. Mitch has put out numerous albums. He plays guitar, he plays ukulele.
He plays blues ukulele sometimes.
Bluekulele,
and he has that gritty voice that tells you he's been through some rough times.
So give it a listen. Here it is.
Welcome to Acoustic Northeast. I'm Dave Goldenberg, hosting along with George Malice. And in the booth, our engineer, the inimitable Hugh Curtin. Acoustic Northeast, if you haven't figured it out yet, is about the vibrant acoustic music scene in the Northeast, bringing to you songwriters you know, songwriters you don't know but should, and others we feel you should know about and whose stories should be told. It's such a vibrant scene. Our guest today is Mitch Katz, a singer-songwriter who lives in, where, Mitch?
Roxbury, Connecticut.
Beautiful Roxbury, Connecticut. And we're going to be playing some cuts from a new album today. Why don't you introduce the first cut, Mitch?
The first cut is called New Normal. I've been writing a lot with a good friend of mine, Bill Walston, and typically one of us comes to the table with an idea or a title or something, and he had New Normal, and we started kicking that around, and I came up with a line and a follow-up line, and just kind of went from there. So this song is also on the Hudson Harding compilation called Folk Now, which came out in September. And my new CD with this song will be out hopefully by the end of the year.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Here it is.
Let's give it a listen.
New Normal, Mitch Katz.
You can get anything you want the very next day. Didn't used to be that way. Main Street stores with padlocked doors, that's the price we have to pay. Just got a raise and I'm barely getting by. Didn't used to be that way. 25 for a burger and fries, that's the price we have to pay. Is this the new normal? Is anything the same? Pointing fingers and laying blame. It's a crying shame. Crying shame. Federal jobs across the land on the firing line. Didn't used to be that way. Our national parks are going dark. That's the price we have to pay. Is this the new normal? Is anything the same? pointing fingers and laying blame. It's a crying shame, crying shame. Lost a lifelong friend over politics. Didn't used to be that way. We're on different sides of the great divide, and that's the price we have to pay. Is this the new normal? Is anything the same? Pointing fingers and laying blame. It's a crying shame, crying shame. Pointing fingers and laying blame. It's a crying shame, crying shame.
Wow. Very, very timely song by Mitch Katz called New Normal, and that is on the compilation. Where is it again, Mitch?
Compilation is called Folk Now, and it can be heard on most of the college stations and folk radio stations.
And that'll be on your new album as well, obviously.
Yes, correct.
Cool. And tell us about the players on that one.
We have Mark Dan, who was the recording engineer and also bass player. Amy Susi on background vocals, and Sarah Milanovic on violin.
Nice. So you've been writing music for quite a while, as several of us has, and I wonder what you think the benefit of age and experience brings to the songwriting process, because we associate songwriters with young people getting out there and playing in clubs, but it's a very different thing to write songs when you're a little older.
Interesting question. We certainly have a different perspective on life as we're approaching 70, in my case. And I think there's also the ability to look past what's the obvious. In this case, the obvious, is, yeah, I can go online and I can have this tomorrow. Yeah, great. And how wonderful is that? But what does that do? What does that do to our community? And it causes the mom and pop shops to no longer be able to survive. And I think as a younger person, that didn't bother me because I didn't give it much thought. As a senior, I'm more concerned about that. I'm more concerned about my community and, the people that I know and how they get by on a day-to-day basis.
Cool. You talked about co-writing.
Yes.
And you've been writing, so you tell, with that song you wrote with Bill Woolston?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how that process kicked off. How long ago did you meet Bill, and when did you guys start doing this together?
Yeah, I met Bill at Summer Songs, a songwriting camp, which we'll get into, I assume, a little bit later. And we were in a co-writing class with Dan Navarro, was the instructor. And Dan grouped people up into either twos or threes, and he put me with Bill Woolston and Len Seligman, and he gave us a prompt. And the prompt was, "If I could," which we all looked at each other and said, well, that's a shitty prompt. But, we went outside and we started writing. And, we had a couple of verses and a chorus. And the next day we came back and we finished the song. And it was really a great experience. There was no ego involved. We all just were working towards the same goal, making the song better.
Was that your first co-writing experience?
No, it wasn't the first time I had co-written, but it led to Bill and I starting to write more often, and that happened during the pandemic. We were exchanging emails, and I suggested, why don't we Zoom and let's try writing together some more. And, we had a successful experience with it. And that's what we did. And to this day, most weeks on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, he and I are on Zoom writing. And sometimes those sessions are just, sharing with each other what's going on in our lives, and nothing really gets done. But typically we do spend some time writing, and a song might take 3 or 4 sessions, sometimes longer. Some of the songs wind up in a folder and never to be seen again. And other songs like this one, which we both like enough to want to perform and want to record.
Do one of you do more of the lyrical stuff or the musical stuff, or is that all shared as well, 50-50-ish?
I would say it's 50-50-ish. Okay. Typically on any given song, one of us might be leading a little bit more than the other.
Okay.
With either lyric or music, but I would say it's 50-50.
Yeah, that's cool.
One thing I'm really interested about the co-writing process is, how does the dynamic work? I mean, creators, artists are sensitive people. We don't always take criticism well. We don't always give criticism well. How do you manage the give and take? How do you say that's a sucky idea to somebody that you're or that's a great idea to somebody you're co-writing with?
Well, the great idea is easy to say. The sucky idea is something that you want to put a lid on and not use those kind of terms, obviously. But I think we both come to the session, and it was like this for us from the beginning, that this is not about ego. This is not about, it's about writing a song together that we both like, and how do we make it a better song? And if you do that, it's easy. He says something, I'm not crazy about it. I say, no, I don't know. I think maybe we can do better. Or, I'm not sure about that line. How about this? And be kind to each other. And it just works. And I don't know that it would work that way with everybody. I've paired up with other people, and wasn't such a great experience. I've had that happen too.
Yeah. Do you remember like the first time you co-wrote, how long ago it was?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the woman's name.
I'm just trying to get an idea of how long you've been co-writing, and the difference, of course, we all know the difference between co-writing and writing on your own.
Yeah. I wrote a song with a woman at a songwriting workshop. Same thing. They paired us up. And I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was a professional singer. She sang with a well-known Irish band. And we sat down together, and that morning I knew that we were going to get paired up. Steve Gillette was running the workshop, and he gave us a heads up about this, and was out walking with some people in the morning, and I looked up this long driveway as we were starting to turn down it, and I realized it was a driveway, and I said, oh, this is the private situation. And the light went off, and, oh, there's the title to the song.
Wow.
And she and I went on to write that song, over the course of, I think, over 2 days, 2 sessions together, we wrote that song.
It's amazing how many people write while they're going out walking. It's really, when we interviewed, I think we interviewed Chris Mahoney, and he was talking about, he's a guitarist. He's not a lyricist at all. And he walks like 8 to 10 miles a day, and all these ideas, and he uses his phone or whatever. And so many other singer-songwriters that I've spoken to, it comes at them when they're walking or running or doing.
Or driving, in my case. There's a lot of times that, something will be triggered by something I see, and I'll start singing a song, and then of course I got to reach for my phone to get the voice memo.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I've had that experience many times, and the other thing that would happen with me is I'd have a song, and I would memorize it while I was out running. I would just be singing it in my head, or and I'd come to a part and I couldn't remember that particular part of the song, and I'd come up with something else, and I get home, and sometimes that was better than what I had. But definitely the movement, the running, the walking, just definitely for me has been helpful in creativity.
I think it's because you're kind of like doing something that's kind of mindless.
Yeah.
You know, you're just walking or running. You're not really, and you're open is what I mean. Right. You're open to the universe or whatever is going to flow into your head at that time.
Yeah, and I don't listen to music when I'm running. It's just, that's my meditative time. If I'm walking or running, if I'm outdoors, I'm not listening to anything else. So I think you're open for that. Your mind is open to see what's out there.
I agree. I think we're time for another song.
Yeah, you mentioned If I Could, so...
Yeah, If I Could was the song I just spoke about that was written at Summer Songs Camp on a prompt.
Cool. Here it is, Mitch Katz.
If I could forgive you, if I could forget all the ways you've knocked me down, I'm just not there yet. I know about your demons, I know about your past. I hope we can make it work, but it ain't gonna happen fast. If I could, surely would. If I could, I would. If I could, I'd make it good. If I could, I would, but I can't. If I could go back in time, if I could hold you close, maybe we could find a way to chase away these ghosts. I know I played a part in this, I know it isn't fair. It would not hurt this much if I didn't care. If I could, I surely would. If I could, I would. If I could, I'd make it good. If I could, I would, but I can't. Here I am, swallowed by my rage. I know it would be better if I could learn to turn the page. If I could, I surely would. If I could, I would. If I could, I'd make it good. If I could, I would. If I could, I would. If I could, I would, but I can't.
That's If I Could from Mitch Katz off the new album. Mitch, where can they hear your music?
I'm on all of the streaming platforms. I have a website, mitchkatz.com as well.
And how many albums have you released to date? You released a few.
I've released 3, the upcoming one 4.
Excellent. And where are you recording the new album?
Recording it with Mark Dan, the Mark Dan Studios in Woodstock, New York.
Ah, the Mecca.
Yeah, who I've worked with several times, and he's great. Just love working with Mark.
What's this scene up there? Have you gotten to know some of the local performers and writers?
Only the people that he brings into the studio. My first CD that I did with Mark, I wanted harmonica and I wanted John Sebastian to play. And he lives in Woodstock, and Mark said he would try to get him, and I asked him several times. So finally I just wrote an email on John Sebastian's website and said, "Hi, John. My name is Mitch. Blah blah blah. I'm recording a CD in Woodstock. Would love to have you come play a few tunes." And then I wrote, "Hey, you never know."
Wow.
And he wrote me back the next day, and he said, $300 will do it. That's all he said. I wrote him back, gave him an address. We picked a date. He showed up at the studio. We recorded the 3 songs. We sat and jammed for a while, and it was just a great experience. So, yeah, Woodstock.
You got more than your money's worth on that one now.
Woodstock has its benefits.
That's really cool. Yeah, I really like that a lot. That's something. So, so you play guitar. You play uke also.
Yes.
I know we wanted to talk about the uke. When did you start playing uke?
Probably 8 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We had gone on a vacation to Hawaii, and my wife, at the resort we were staying, they were doing ukulele lessons, and I went and sat in with them, and my wife said, "You really should buy a uke while we're here." So I looked around, but I couldn't find anything that worked for me. So I got home, I got online, did a deep dive, as I'm prone to do, and bought a uke. And I played with it for a while, and, it was fun, but I wasn't really getting it. And then one day I figured out that the ukulele is the guitar, but on capo 5, and get rid of the top 2 strings. And then it was like, oh, I'm playing guitar, just missing a couple of strings, and that was it. After that, it was easy. And I found writing on the ukulele opened the door for just very different voicings.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I wrote different songs. I've written different songs on the ukulele than I would ever write on the guitar. And occasionally I'll have a song that I've written on the guitar that I'll play on the ukulele, and I like it better that way. Or the vice versa, where I'll, write it on the uke and then I'll start playing it on guitar. And it just opens up more doors. It's, another tool in the toolbox, as the saying goes.
Yeah.
When did ukuleles become cool, though? They used to be kind of, Don Ho, an embarrassment.
Tiny Tim, who was a fabulous ukulele player, but his whole shtick was, set the ukulele back many years.
Well, when I was a teenager, around that time, a young teenager, I asked my parents for a guitar. I was, I wanted to be Bob Dylan. And my dad came home with the ukulele. And I said, "This is a ukulele. I want a guitar." And he said, "Well, when you can handle 4 strings, then we'll think about 6.
Smart man. I've said numerous times, to kids who want to learn how to play the guitar, ukulele is much easier. And if you learn to play the ukulele, or ukulele as they say, you can transpose that to guitar very easily. It's a great starting method. I could teach anybody to play a song. I could teach them 3 chords in 10 minutes, because you don't need to use, you can do a lot of chords with one finger, just one fret. So it's a great instrument.
Subject matter, going from uke to guitar. Do you find that you're going to a different subject matter just because of the difference in sound on the two?
Yeah, uke's happy.
Yeah, right.
It's a happy sounding instrument.
I should try it.
And
George, that and medication might work for you.
I definitely needed it. The ukulele just lends itself to that, to write happier, more upbeat because of the way it sounds.
Yeah.
But I also like playing blues on the ukulele, which is not what typically is done, but it works for me.
So on the new album that you're going to have coming out, how many you have a bunch of uke songs or just a couple?
No, actually, I don't know that there's any uke songs. There might be some uke music, as part of tracks.
Okay.
Where I'll have uke. In fact, the next song that we're going to play, I haven't finished all the parts to that, and I'm going to be adding a uke part to that. It just as to build on the track. But no, this time around, it wasn't a lot of uke songs. Well, I shouldn't say that. The one we heard just now, If I Could,
right?
That's me playing, but it's not a standard uke. It's a long scale baritone uke. It's even longer than a baritone, so it's got a little more depth to it.
Okay. Do you ever find yourself like going out of like your style and like going like more like? Have you ever like written like any like more rockish stuff or stuff like that, or is that? I don't know. Maybe it's a stupid question. I don't know. I'm just
no.
wondering.
It's a good question, and it's something I'd like to be doing more of. It's easy to get caught up in playing songs in the same keys and, same tempos. And so it's a great idea. In fact, instead of playing the song we said we were going to play, why don't we switch over to Driverless Car?
We can do that.
Which is on the, will be on the next CD. It's not a completed track, but you'll get the idea. It's a little more of a rock song than I normally do.
Yeah.
All right, Driverless Car by Mitch Katz.
I used to drive alone, just me and the radio, never too far from home. That was so long ago. Now I put my faith in you. You've taken me this far. I love everything you do. Driverless car. No need to keep my eyes on the road. No need to keep my hands on the wheel. You always know just where we are. Driverless car. Now when I go out for a ride, you know you've got my back. I read the news and take a nap, like traveling on Amtrak. You always get me there on time. You even know how to park. Look, ma, no hands. Driverless car. No need to keep my eyes on the road. No need to keep my hands on the wheel. You always know just where we are. Driverless car. Sometimes I yearn to drive again, to sit behind the wheel, step on the gas, go real fast, and listen to the tires squeal. You do a much better job. You really are a star. No fender benders, no rear enders. Driverless car. Keep my eyes on the road. No need to keep my hands on the wheel. You always know just where we are. Driverless car. You always know just where we are. Driverless car.
That's Mitch Katz, Driverless Car, from the soon-to-be-released album. So, Mitch, I know your professional career, you were involved with cars a lot, and there's a long tradition of Cars music. I love car songs, personally. What are some of your favorite car songs?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that question. Nothing's really coming to mind. I used to love listening to Click and Clack, though.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember those guys.
Right. But Peter Wolf, he had that song, was it The Wheel? I think it's one of the best car songs around. Anyway, New Morning Songwriter series. We heard it's coming back. That's great news. It's a terrific series. Everybody should make an effort to get out there and talk a little bit about where the idea came from, and now that it's coming back, what you have in store for us.
I had the opportunity to perform at a series called the John Street Jam in Saugerties, New York. And they would put 4 people in the middle of the room, and it was patterned after the Bluebird, as George had mentioned another time. And but it was like an hour and 40-minute drive for me to go there to listen to music if I wasn't playing. And I wanted to have something like that in my backyard. And I didn't want to take it on alone. I had done that in the past, and it was a lot of work. And I, started talking with Doug Mahart about it, and he decided he was willing to, participate. So we spent some time looking for a room. We found New Morning, and really was a perfect fit. And that's where the idea came from. And New Morning was a great space for us. Not only were they very accommodating and would feed the musicians before the show, but they kind of had a built-in audience. A lot of the people who shop there, it's a natural food store, were into this kind of community and into this kind of music, and they started to come. And seniors in the area from Southbury, the next town over, would come because we were passing the hat around and not charging a fee. So they could put in whatever they could afford, as well as families with kids. It was family friendly. A couple could come with their 2 or 3 kids, and they didn't have to pay $10 or $20 each. They could put it
or pay a minimum, for food and drink.
Right, they could put whatever they wanted in, and it was fine. We were happy to have them there, and it just grew and developed into a real nice community gathering. Well, I'm happy to hear it's coming back.
Yeah.
And you're going to be playing it, we understand.
I'll be playing at the opening night of the second reincarnation of the New Morning Songwriter Series on January 24th.
January 24th. And how can people find out about it?
Well, there will be some PR done. It'll be on social media. There'll be some press releases sent out.
Do you have a website where people can find out about it?
I have a website, but I'm not always good about updating my own gigs on my own website. But on Facebook, there is a New Morning Songwriters Series page that actually, Dave, you set up for us. Hasn't been used in a few years since we shut down during the pandemic. And I don't know what kind of cleanup is involved at this point, but we can try to revive that as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Am I being volunteered for that again?
I didn't say that.
You didn't even remember that you set it up, did you?
I didn't either until just now.
Dave, you didn't? Did you?
I had no idea.
That's great. And again, that'll be January 24th in Woodbury, Connecticut. And you know what? It's the New Morning Market. But even if it wasn't the New Morning Market, it's just a good name for a songwriter series. The New Morning Singer-Songwriter Series. It's just
the
great.
Acme Market Songwriter Series.
Yeah,
well,
wouldn't
you'd
quite
have
cut
to
it.
have an anvil and a and what was the cartoon?
Roadrunner.
Yeah, the Roadrunner. You'd have to have an anvil.
Well, and I remember, as I said, another time I've played there, George has played there, and one thing I've noticed is that people come to the market early, grab something to eat, and then come upstairs for the show. So I wish you guys all of the success in the world this time around, because it's a wonderful series, and it's great to have it back.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I think you can go out with a song. I think we're going to play Bucket List. Should we do Bucket List to take us out, or you want to play something else?
Yeah, Bucket List is good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
That was Mitch Katz.
Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for being here, and we appreciate you coming up. And till next time, and we'll definitely see you in January.
Saw the picture on your Facebook page. It looked to me like you'd hardly aged. I sent a message and went for a walk. Said I would love it if we could talk. You wrote me back and said, hey there, Tom. We haven't spoken since our senior prom. Can I call you tomorrow night? 8 o'clock your time, that's alright. My bucket list is filled with dreams I want to share with you. Tell me yours, I'll tell you mine. We might be old, but we're not through. talk about when we were kids, the crazy things that we did. I think about you all the time, how you went your way and I went mine. You went to Europe as a graduation gift, London, Prague, Paris, the French boy that you kissed. I drove cross country with my best buddy Gus, 10,000 miles in a Volkswagen bus. My bucket list is filled with dreams I want to share with you. Tell me yours, I'll tell you mine. We might be old, but we're not through. So much more for me and you, so much more to do. I'd love to jump from a plane in the sky, but I'm way too old for that kind of flight. How about we travel the world on a ship, discover new places, skinny dip. My bucket list is filled with dreams I want to share with you. Tell me yours, I'll tell you mine. We might be old, but we're not through. Tell me yours, I'll tell you mine. We might be old, but we're not through.